Thank you guys so much for 1K subscribers. I'm literally in awe. Thank you truly from the bottom of my heart. I love chatting about books with you all, and I'm so excited for this video today. And if you don't know, my name's Marissa. I like to talk about books and book design. I asked you guys in a poll what you want me to do to celebrate, and overwhelmingly the vote was for me to talk about my favorite books of all time, which I am thrilled to do. I would love to do just that. But before I get into it, I want to let you know that you should stick around until the end of the video because I have a special little giveaway that actually will have 2 winners. So go ahead and stick around for me. But without further ado, let's go ahead and chat about my favorite books. Now, I'm someone who truly considers themselves a genreless reader. I will read and love almost anything. But as I compiled my favorite books, I realized that it leans heavily towards horror and thriller, which makes sense. I'd say if I had to pick a favorite genre, it would probably be horror, and that's a little bit reflected today, but I have some other random ones sprinkled in there too, so buckle up, let's get into it. The first one I'm going to talk about is one that I love so much. I mean, I love all of them, obviously. And I guess you could say this is a thriller, and that would be I'm Thinking of Ending Things by Iain Reid. This book is so fucking good, and it is so hard to describe. There's actually not even a description on the back. It's kind of just quotes. Gonna go ahead and say that you should go into this one not knowing anything. Not a single thing. It is so creepy and disturbing, and you won't know what's going on. It's a very confusing book, but like confusing in the best way. You're not really sure what's real and what's not. And those are my favorite kind of books. I love the like distorted reality and unreliable narrators. That is my favorite. So it's no surprise that this one hit all the marks for me. And it's also super short. Like I've known people to read this in one sitting. It's one that I know I will revisit endlessly, and I cannot recommend it enough. And then this next one, I just need to go ahead and get it out of the way because I talk about it on my channel all the time. So you guys already know it's one of my favorites, and that would be The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. I love this book. I love it. I love it with my whole heart. I love the whole series. Jude and Carden are just some of my favorite characters. I read this probably in 2019, and I think about it daily. I'm such a big fan of Holly Black and her writing in general. I think she writes such amazing fantasy books. If you somehow don't know, this book is an enemies to lovers fantasy where the main character, her name is Jude, she's immortal, but she is sent to the fairy world because of some family drama. She's basically stuck there. But in the fairy world, they do not like mortals and they basically treat them as slaves. But Jude has the opportunity to kind of rise above that because she is the adopted daughter, I guess, of a fairy that's high in the court. I think he's like a military general. The fairies of the court are sort of forced to be with Jude and respect her. They do not respect her, but that's all she wants. She wants them to respect her, and not only respect her, but fear her. And it's just, she is such an excellent, morally gray character, a strong woman, and I love her. I love Carden. I need so bad. And that's really all I can say about it. If you know, you know. And if you don't know, then you should know. Another one of my favorite books I do not have with me here today, but that is Dark Places by Gillian Flynn. Gillian Flynn is one of, if not my favorite author of all time. I don't think she ever misses. Like all of her books truly are so good. My favorite is Dark Places, and that maybe is just because it's the first one I read, but it just instantly gripped me when I was reading it. And I think when I read it, I just had never read a thriller that was so well written, and it really just blew me away. And every single one of my friends I've recommended it to have loved it as well. So I'm just saying. Dark Places is about this family, and it splits between the past and present day. The family was murdered, all of them except for the youngest. Her name is Libby, and the oldest, who I forgot his name. When this murder happened, Libby pointed out to the police her brother, saying he is the one that killed them. And all these years later, she's not really sure if what she remembers was true. There's this group of like true crime junkies who think he's innocent, so they sort of urge her to open the case back up and really think about what happened that night and figure out what really went down. And it is so fantastic. Truly, if you held a gun to my head, I could not have guessed the outcome of this book. It really just caught me by surprise. The past scenes are set during the 80s, And it's during the rise of that like satanic scare where certain people were so scared of teenagers joining like satanic cults because they listened to rock music. That is very evident in this book and played a big part in the initial accusation of Libby's brother. Love it, but I love all of Gillian Flynn's books, and I'm so excited for her to put out a new one. I'm literally on my hands and knees begging, I need another one, please. Next, we're throwing it all the way back to high school. I read it freshman year, and that would be Great Expectations by Charles Dickens. I was definitely the only kid in my class that was thrilled to be reading this, and I think I'm one of the like few Great Expectation truthers out there, but I just love this book. When I really think about it, I think it comes down to the characters. I'm someone who truly loves a character-driven book, and this has some of the greatest of all time. Namely, Miss Havisham. She is so iconic. If you're not familiar with this one, Great Expectations is about this boy named Pip who grows up. He's very poor. He basically has no way to enter society as they had it back then, until one day a mysterious benefactor basically pays his way to grow up and enter society. He has no clue who's doing this for him, and that's a big part of the book, is figuring out who the benefactor is and why they're doing this. Another big part of the book is that in order to understand proper society, Pip starts spending time with Miss Havisham, as well as her, I don't think it's her daughter. She's treated like her daughter, but maybe her niece or something. Estella, who is a rich, spoiled brat. Basically, Pip is just immediately in love with her, and she could not care less about him. She treats him so horribly, and Pip starts to suspect that Miss Havisham is the one funding his upbringing because she wants Pip to marry Estella, but everything is not as it may seem. I really want to revisit this one someday soon. It will always hold a special place in my heart. Another one, which I do not have here with me today because I lent it to a friend, conveniently also has dark in the title, and that's gonna be Dark Matter by Blake Crouch. I don't think this is a surprise either because I recommend it all the time on my channel. But it may be a surprise because on my favorite books of 2023, I said this one was my second top book, and then the number one was Lessons in Chemistry, which I loved Lessons in Chemistry. But now I think Dark Matter is one of my favorites of all time. I could not explain the logic. It's truly just me going off vibes. But now, a full year later, I think about Dark Matter all the time. I recommend it all the time. And I really just think it's a fantastic book. So much so that I'm considering it a favorite. Dark Matter is a sci-fi thriller about this man who is now some sort of a science professor. I think it's chemistry. Wait, maybe it's a physicist. Yeah, that sounds more right. Physics. He had the opportunity to become a well-known, like award-winning scientist, and he gave it up to pursue a life with his wife and family. There's of course those thoughts of what could have been had he not given it all up. And then one night he's hit on the back of the head by someone, and when he wakes up, he is in a new life, the life he would have been living had he not given up his dreams. So this is like a multiverse book. But what I love about this one is that it sort of subverts your expectations of books like this, where usually if someone were to wake up in that scenario, they'd be like, wow, this is the life I wanted to live. Let me like chill here for a bit and see how it is. Jason, the main character, is not thinking that at all. He's thinking, I need to get back to my life. I want my wife and kid. And the whole book is him trying to figure out how to get back to them. So I really like that. He's really grounded in the choice he made and he loves his life. It's just really refreshing to read that. Just like the adventure of it, of all the different timelines he goes through. I just found it such a page turner and I really love it. And I think about it all the time. I think it's an excellent book. Up next, we have the biggest one on this list, and that would be It by Stephen King. I just can never get over how long this book is. It's actually insane that I read this, which I think is partially one of the reasons I consider it a favorite, just because it seems like such a feat and I'm like, wow, I really did that. I have like a fear of big books, so that's impressive. I know this book has its flaws, but I just love it. I love this story and I have loved it for a big portion of my life because I love horror movies. And I watched the movie from the 90s before reading this. I just think it is such a fascinating story. It truly is like an epic. I'm sure we're all familiar with the story of It. It's the one about the evil clown that terrorizes the kids, but it really is so much more than that. I'm so surprised when I talk to my friends about this and they don't know that Pennywise is not actually a clown. That's just one of the forms he presents himself because he feeds off fear of kids. So he takes many forms, and one of those is a clown because, you know, obviously a lot of kids are scared of clowns. He's also like a mummy, a werewolf, you know, whatever else these kids may be afraid of. And I think that is just one of the most fascinating aspects of the book. This book is very much about the magic of childhood and how, as a kid, you can believe in something like Pennywise. That's why the kids see it, and it goes away when you get older because an adult isn't going to believe in that. This is really just like a comfort book to me. I love all the characters. I'm just like in love with the story. I think I will be for the rest of my life. So it's a favorite. And I also want to mention one of my favorite books of all time. One of the first books I really remember loving was Carrie by Stephen King. I read that in middle school, like, you know, around the same time when I was going through puberty. The story of Carrie and taking back like the power of that like really resonated with me. I don't think it's one of his greatest written books. You know, it was his first book. There are definitely flaws with it as well, but I just really hold a special place for it in my heart. I don't have my copy here, so I'm just talking about it quickly. I think now, later in my life, I prefer it. But yeah, I went through a really big Stephen King phase, and it's kind of dwindled out, but I thought that was important to note as well. And now we've made it to the final two. All of these other books I love dearly with my whole heart, and I will talk about them, recommend them for the rest of my life. But these two are my favorite books of all time. In second place, we have Everything I Never Told You by Celeste, which this is just a dust jacket because I also lent this to a friend. This book blew me away when I first read it. I think I hold such a special place for it because it really made me understand myself more as a reader. When I read this, it was like, oh, these are the kind of books I like. This is what I love reading. Everything I Never Told You is the story of a family. At the very first page, the very first line, you find out that their daughter, Lydia, is dead. Lydia's body is found in the lake. They don't know how she died. So a big part of the story is figuring that out, the mystery of it. But really, this book is more a look at the whole family dynamic and what led to the point of her death. And it goes back to like their parents' first meeting. This book is set during the 70s in America, and Lydia's parents are an interracial couple. Her father is Chinese and her mother is white. During the 70s, that wasn't quite as common as it is today. So a lot of the book is analyzing the dynamic between them and the racism of the time. But it also has such an interesting perspective on the kids who are Chinese American and how that affects them growing up and the pressure that's put on them. It is just a fantastic character study. What this book made me realize is that I love books where plot is not the focus, because literally the first line of this book is Lydia is dead, but they don't know this yet. So up front, the first sentence, the plot is completely given to you. You know that by the end of this book, Lydia is dead. So it's sort of what happens when the plot is given away, what's left. And in this book, it's the characters. The page time is really spent diving into them and sort of what makes them tick. And I just love that so much. I love books like that. Celeste Ng is a fantastic writer. Cannot recommend this book enough. It blew me away. Hoping to revisit this one again soon. And finally, we have made it my favorite book of all time. And that would be The Virgin Suicides by Jeffrey Eugenides. This book, oh my god, I could talk about it for the rest of my life. I think it is just so interesting and such a great book to study, not only from the topics and content of it, but the writing of it is just so wonderful. I actually studied this book in college during a course I took that was about books that are set in first person plural, which this book is, meaning it's told from like, we did this, we went to the park, we watched the girls. The Virgin Suicides is about the Lisbon sisters, 4 of them, who all of them, by the end of the book, commit suicide. It does the same thing as Everything I Never Told You, where the plot is given to you on page 1. By page 1, you know that all of the sisters die at the end. So again, what's left when you already know the plot? In this book, rather than a character study necessarily, it is the exploration of point of view and what the implication of using the we is. It's told from the point of view of the neighborhood boys who watch these girls and sort of sexualize them, romanticize them, and play a role in their demise, but are also just bystanders who do nothing. And by using the we, it includes all of the neighborhood boys, but then it goes a step further and it includes men in general, but then it goes a step further and it includes you, the reader, in being complicit. You have to sit there and read we did this to them, we watched this happen, and we didn't do anything, and you have to feel the guilt of that. And it is just such a powerful and moving book. I'm obsessed with it. I think about it all the time. The movie is also incredible. I think it is a must read for everyone. And it's such a tragically beautiful picture of girlhood. And I think it has a lot to say about the harm of the male gaze. It's, in my opinion, it's a perfect book. I'll say it. Yes, this is my favorite book of all time. So there you have it. That's what I like to read. Horror, thriller, character studies, beautiful writing. I'd say that's my just recipe for a perfect book. Please let me know if you've read any of them, if you like them. If you don't like them, don't tell me. Don't even tell me. I don't want to hear it. Just kidding. You can tell me. But if you've made it this far, thank you for sticking around. Let's go ahead and talk about my giveaway. One thing about me, my love language is gift giving. So I'm truly just so thrilled to be doing this. I do have 2 prizes for the giveaway. So I will tell you about them and you're gonna let me know which one that you want to win. The first one is a general book lovers prize. The prize is a basket I put together of general things for a book lover, sort of like picture a blind date with a book. That's what you're getting. If you are interested in winning that, what I want you to do is like and subscribe, obviously. Also, follow me on my Bookstagram because I want to see you over there. But also, that's how we're gonna communicate about giving you the prize. And in the comments of this video, I want you to let me know what your favorite genre is. The second prize is specifically for my Swiftie book lovers, which is why I want you to let me know which prize specifically you want, because I want to make sure you get the one that you want to get. So for my Swifties, this is also a book lover basket, but it's Swiftie themed. So do all the same things, like, subscribe, follow my Bookstagram. But in the comments, I want you to let me know what your favorite Taylor Swift album is, because it may or may not influence the prize. So that's my giveaway. I'm so excited. But if you're going to enter, please make sure you are comfortable giving me your address because I have to ship it to you. So I think that goes without saying that you need to be 18 years or older because I don't want to talk to your parents. Sorry. I will be announcing the winners on August 28th, which is a Wednesday. I'm gonna do a little live stream, so the winners will be chosen on live, so you know I'm not lying. I'm gonna put all the names in like a wheel generator. Whoever it spits out to me is gonna be the winner, so you're not gonna wanna miss that. But also, if you can't make it, I will message the winner, so you'll know. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you again for 1,000 subscribers. I love you guys so much, and I'm excited to keep making more videos for you and talking about books and growing the channel. So I hope you'll stick around and see what happens next. I will see you on the 28th and in my next video before that.